Hey everyone, Leo with the Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our jointed Mr. Easter Bunny. Thrilled to bring you this project. I have all of my pieces cut out, as should you, and we're just gonna hop right in. I think that's the first time that has worked as a pun. So anyway, I sort of have things laid out here, and we're gonna begin similar to how we did previous jointed figures by assembling the limbs and then working on the body. So first off, we're going to look at this piece here, and you're going to find these pieces here that look like this, and we'll notice that there's a tiny little mark on one side, and that is just to help you figure out which side actually goes towards the body. But we have a pattern piece that goes on top of this piece because we're making it 2 layers thick, just so that it's a little more sturdy. So let's get the glue flowing here on our first piece. Just go easy with the glue, try to get it out to the perimeter. And you'll notice that each of these actually has that same little mark on it, so you know which way it goes. It really wouldn't fit the other way, but this just makes it easier, leaves out the guesswork. Okay, so we've got that piece. We're gonna do the same thing with this piece. And I know this was on many of your wish lists. Since we introduced the jointed skeleton, that led to jointed stuff for Christmas, and then we did Valentine's Day, and now here we are with Easter. Okay, so these two are done. I'm just gonna put those off to the side, and let's start putting together some of these other pieces. I've got the little carrot that the bunny's holding, so we're going to put that together. Okay, and we're going to start off with the green piece is the bottom. We're going to put the brown piece on top of the green piece. So let's go ahead and get the glue flowing here. Now on the green piece, I did do a little bit of inking on that. Now if you are using, for the main part of the carrot, we're actually using a glitter paper, so I didn't ink that because I don't think that was really going to show up very well, to be honest. I didn't do any inking on that piece, and that's okay. But if you are using an orange paper, you can ink that. Otherwise, in my case, I just inked the little leafy parts of the carrot. So let's get that put in place. Very simple. Yeah, and 2 of these projects from the new bundle are essentially taking you back to the days of scrapbooking. It's mostly just flat stuff, perfect for kids too, obviously, I guess depending on their dexterity, how good they are with their hands. Not really sure exactly what age I would recommend, but I'd say probably at least 4 or 5 would be the minimum, I'd say, based on my experience with kids. But there are some of those really artsy ones that kind of get started at an earlier age, so you never know. All right, so I've got the carrot done. I'm just kind of grabbing the stuff that I have out here. Next, we're gonna do his little feet. We've got a pink shadow layer, and we've got a white layer that goes on top of that. I did hit all of the white parts, white visible parts on our bunny with a little bit of a tan color, just a light brown. Now, when we put this one in place here, it's actually gonna be flush with the top. You want to line up the little hole. That's where the brad's going to go. The rest of it should be lined up at the top, and then you only see the pink part on the bottom and to the side. Okay, so I'm going to put that off to the side, and we'll do his other little foot here. Very simple little project, and then once you have all the pieces put together, the fun part is just taking the brads and connecting it all together to make them complete. So that's always the fun part. Okay, so just like we did before, we're going to line that up flush with the top and the side here. Obviously, the little hole needs to line up, and then the rest of it, you'll see that there's a little bit of a shadow that peeks through on 2 sides. Okay, next, we're going to do his left arm. Okay, so we're going to start off with the brown piece here, and then the white piece is going to go on top of that. So just a little bit of that brown shows through. That's like the inside part of his jacket. Okay, and as I mentioned, I did do a little bit of inking on the white pieces, so I did a little bit of inking on his hand. Now don't waste any time inking the parts of this that are not going to be visible, okay? So if you just take a look at the final photo of the project, you can see which white parts of his body are actually visible and which ones are not. So for example here, because this is part of his coat, I'm going to put this right on top of here. This whole section here is not going to be inked in brown because it would pretty much be a waste of time. You're covering it up anyway. Now for his little suit, his little jacket, you know, the pattern that we picked out here, turquoise was the appropriate color for this, but obviously you want to ink with whatever color is appropriate. We're going to be doing and talking a little bit about inking in next week's live video on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. We'll be going over some inking techniques, I believe, on the Tuesday live. Okay, so this is going to go right here. That's the little cuff along his jacket there. Okay, there we go. So left arm is done. Let's make sure, looks good. Put that off to the side, and we'll do his right arm now. By the way, actually, there's this piece here. This little bacony, marshmallowy looking piece actually goes on right here on the carrot because it is actually holding it. So I did forget to put that on. Let's just get that out of the way real quick, especially because I'm gluing this onto glitter. I'm going to give this a little extra time to dry. So that goes right around the center, and you'll see how that works in just a moment. Okay, put that there for now. And for his other hand here, just like we did, we'll start with the brown piece on the bottom. I'm going to glue the white piece on top. Okay, and pop that on there. And same thing applies to this. I actually stopped the inking right around here because we've got another piece that's going to go right there like that. So don't ink things that you don't need to ink, obviously. That should go without saying, but normally what I do before I sit down and work on these projects is kind of go through it mentally and visually before I actually put it together. Okay, so we've got the white piece on. Next is this pattern piece that makes up his jacket. Okay, so we've got that in place. And now what we're going to do to add some dimension to this, you could technically glue this down flat if you want. I'm actually going to grab some foam squares and we're going to add some more dimension to it. If you want this to last more than a season, which I'm sure most of you do, you may want to glue this part down. I've had really good success with these foam squares. They tend to really hold up very well. Okay, but you can either glue that down or you can use a foam square, and you'll notice that there are some markers on this layer here to help you with the positioning of this arm. I forgot to put the little glittery cuff on there, so let's do that. And I can tell that my glue bottle is a little clogged, but sometimes it's kind of like it when it comes out less forcefully. Okay, so there we go. Now that's done. So let's put that off to the side and keep on cruising here with some of the other parts. We can take a look at the hat. We're going to start with the white layer, and then on top of that, we're going to do this purple layer. So let's get our glue going on the back of this and try to get it out there along the very edges. I did hit this with a little bit of a purple. If you have something that's more along the lines of a raspberry color, that could work too. Kind of makes it look actually a little bit cooler. It's got a hint of a subtle red there in that purple. Okay, there we go. And that is just the little bit of his hair popping out. If you want, what you can do is take a little dowel and just kind of curl that a bit. Okay, so it's not so flat. And then next, we're going to take this piece. This is for the top of the hat. Let's get that glued down. And less is more on these sorts of projects. especially with very small pieces. You don't need to cake them with a ton of glue. Go very easy, spread it nice and thin. Okay, and you can see how inking this piece actually helps define this bottom edge here, which gives it, you know, a more realistic sort of look. So definitely, if you can, get some ink on your projects. It never looks bad, or it never makes it look any worse anyway. Okay, so this piece here is going to go right there. You can see there's kind of a quarter of a circle right in this corner, and then you want the top of this to be flush and meet right up to where this white piece begins, and then obviously flush to the left-hand side as well. Okay, and that little circle there is actually a little identifier or an indicator as to where to place the little floral element that is included. So I have inked this as well. If you want, what you can do is take and pinch the very tips of these to give them a little bit of added dimension as well, just like that. Okay, so we're actually going to glue that like so. It's going to go like that. One little dot of glue right there should do it. And we'll pop that right there. And then for our flower, to give this a little added dimension, you can take and place one of the petals, or each petal, between your finger and a small dowel, and lift it, bring it towards you about 90 degrees, and then run the dowel through. And that will kind of curl each of the little petals very nicely. Okay, also did hit that with a little bit of orange ink. And I guess one of the reasons why I don't always include or talk about the ink colors is because I never know what color paper you're going to be using, which is why I think you should watch the live video so we can discuss the techniques for that. Okay, so our hat is done. I just glued the flower right to the center of that little circle there on the leaves. Next, his little legs here. We've got 2 layers for each one, just to make it thicker. You don't need to ink both. I just inked one, and we're going to connect these 2 together to make it one. Let's get that glue flowing. Going real thin with the glue here. Partially technique, partially clogged bottle, but it's not clogged enough to where I want to clear it out. It's still coming out nicely. Okay, so there's that. And we'll do the same thing with the other side. Grab your glue. All right, so that's done. All right, so for the most part, all of the little limb pieces are done. Next thing we're going to do, we actually start assembling our bunny here. And as you can see, I sort of have him already, well, just layered. It's not glued down or anything. And that's just so that I make sure that I get it done right. But nevertheless, we're going to start with the brown layer here, this main brown layer that's going to be your bottom. We're going to put this white right on top of this. Okay, so this is where I might need a better glue bottle, because that is a lot of real estate to cover. And let's see how this thing's flowing. That's flowing a lot better. Okay, so let's get this in place. Personally, I know some of you use spray adhesive, and that's fine if you want to. I personally don't like the smell. I've already done enough bad things to my lungs over the years where I don't need anything more going in there. And if you do want to use something like that, make sure that you get the one that's repositionable, because with the spray adhesive, once you pop it on there, it's not going anywhere for the most part, unless you get the repositionable kind. Okay, so we're popping this right on there. I'm using the little, those little cheeky parts here on the side of his face as kind of a guide for alignment. The rest of it just kind of falls right into place. If you have a brayer, might be a good time to use that as well. Okay, all right, and next, on top of this layer, we're gonna take and glue down this layer, okay? So there's another layer that's similar, but this is the actual jacket. It's going to go on top like this. So we need to glue this down first. And as you can see here, there are 4 holes for where the brads go. So that pretty much tells you where this needs to go. Okay. I didn't ink any of this because there's really nothing to ink. Just a little part of it that's showing through around or inside the jacket. Okay, so let's get this in place. There we go, just working the perimeter, trying to make sure that that is nice and set. A little bit on the inside and voila. I'm gonna use the little holes as my guides, just like that. And then of course, take a look at the sides as well, make sure everything is nice and flush along the perimeter. Press that down. Okay. Here we go. And next, you can put on the main part of his coat, which you can see here. And that's going to go right there. This one also has the 4 holes for the brad, so this should be a no-brainer as far as the placement. Let's get our glue going here. This is going to be hopefully this is one of the more popular bundles. I think it will be because, well, you guys have really loved the jointed figures. And Ron has done an amazing job with these designs. They're very Ron-esque with a nice hint of vintage, which I think all of us could, you know, I think this reminds us of the days of old when it came to holidays. Actually, we were looking at some of them from back in the day, and boy, there are some scary ones out there as far as, you know, the designs go. But even the costumes were. I'm sure some of you have seen those photos of the Easter Bunny back in the day and how terrifying some of those costumes were. Anyway, all right, so we've got that in place. Next, what we can do, there's a couple things we can do actually. Looks like he's got I think it's like a little scarf, or is that a shirt? I'm not sure, but you know what, let's put this together first. This piece right here that I already had in my hand, let's get this glued down. Obviously you can see there's a hole there. You just need to line that up like that. Okay, so let's get that in place. And then he also has some pockets that we'll put together here in just a moment. And this one will go very quick. Our Mrs. Bunny should also go pretty quick too. Okay, so line that up like that. And you want that to be flush with the jacket on the inside as well. Right there. So it should butt up right to that yellow right there. Okay. And I'm kind of quickly scanning through everything to make sure that I'm not missing anything, because we don't have a lot of, actually there might be some of these pattern paper sheets that we don't even have any more of. They're just kind of in our stash, but it's gonna be really fun to see how you guys dress up your versions of these guys. Okay, so this one obviously goes here. Just like I said before, this inside part needs to be flush with this pattern piece, just like that. Okay, so next up, we're gonna put his little coat pockets on, and these are the pieces for that. This one here, that almost looks like it has a little handle, goes on the left-hand side. Okay, so let's get those in place. And just make sure you line that up with the little shadow piece on the left-hand side, just so that everything looks nice and symmetrical. Okay, and this one's gonna go here. Just like that, there we go. Okay, oh, by the way, there is almost like a little tic-tac shaped piece here, real small. And that's gonna go right there. So don't lose that one. That is not a scrap. It's going to go right there. And that's just a little hole for his, for the button. Okay, and the button's actually going to be a rhinestone. All right, so next up, we've got this piece here. So we need to glue this on top of this. Okay, so let's get the glue flowing here. And then we just work on his face and call it a day on this one. It's not that difficult at all. These are actually enjoyable. I guess all the projects are pretty laid back. As long as you enjoy the process, you should pretty much enjoy everything from the site. Okay, so that's going to get glued down right there, and then we've got another layer that's going to go on top of that to give it some added dimension. Let's get the glue going here, and you can see where this goes. Obviously, you see this little V shape down here. You want to match that up, and then it should be flush against these pieces here as well. Just bring those down or over wherever they need to go. And then next, we're going to take and glue this piece to this piece. Okay, I thought I turned everything off. Apparently I didn't. Sorry about that. I have like 9 devices that I have to silence before I can start filming. Sometimes I forget one. Okay, there we go. All right. So this is going to go right on here. You can pretty much tell where it goes by looking at the little shadow layer behind it. Just match that up as accurately as you can. And then we're going to take that and glue that right there. Okay. So let's do that. And then I can start working on the face. I think that's it for that. Yeah, it sure is. Okay, great. So now the next thing we're going to do is, well, this is all we have left, is just these pieces here. Okay, so this is obviously going to go right here. We're going to line that up nicely there, like so. And just trying to make sure we're not missing any other pieces. Nope, we're good. Let's get that glued into place. Get that glue out to the very ends and the perimeter of as many of the sections as you can. That's the worst, when it just comes peeling off because we didn't get enough glue. We can always go in and fix things too if we need to, but go ahead and get that lined up. There we go. Make sure it's nice and centered. Beautiful. Press that down. Take a look there. That looks good. Okay. Now the little pink parts of the ears, they're going to go in like a little puzzle, and they should fit perfectly. Okay, so let's get some glue on those. And we do have some little markers throughout the face and the head, and that's just to help us with the placement and alignment of our hat. Okay, so that fit in there beautifully. I just got a Cricut Maker 3. I just upgraded. I'm going to do a little review video on that and then actually use it here in the studio. But all of our stuff recently, probably within the last 3 or 4 months, everything's being cut out with a Cricut Maker. So we stopped using the Sizzix Eclipse because, well, they're not supporting it anymore, and it's hard to find accessories for it. Okay, so there's the ears. Great. Okay, so let's start by putting the facial features on. I'm going to start with the mouth. You'll notice here just below the nose that there's a sort of like a little upside down V. That's the marker that you're going to use to position the mouth correctly. That little inverted V or upside down V is going to match up with the top of the mouth here. Match that up, and then you'll see 2 more little markers on the left and right, and those are going to go right underneath this little part of the smile. Okay, so once you pop that in there, you'll see exactly where it goes. Next, I'm going to put the little nose in place. Just a few little dots of glue. Don't need to overdo it on that. And that's going to go right where you think it goes, right there on the little brown spot, just like that. And then next, I can take and put his little tongue in place. And that's going to go right at the bottom of the black part of the mouth. You want that to be nice and flush, and try to maybe hide the black if possible. There we go, just like that. And that just leaves, I had it somewhere over here, there it is. He's got some little bunny teeth. It's just this little piece that looks like, kind of like a little old school tent. Okay, and that's going to match up right with the little roof there. Bring that up. There we go. Pardon my head if it's in the shot. There we go. Okay. And then last but not least, the eyeballs. Now, you want to be careful when you put these down, because I actually goofed up and I put the eyes, I don't know, I think maybe the first time I did it, I arranged it like this, and it didn't occur to me until after the fact that it almost looks like, you see these parts here, how they're out to the side? They shouldn't be like that. I think that maybe this bunny with the eyes like that somehow found that hookah smoking caterpillar from what's it called? You know, Alice in Wonderland, and I think he might have been having too good of a time. So before you put it down, make sure that you put them down without glue, just to make sure. And you know what that. Does that look right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, that is the correct, no, it's not. I did it again, actually. Okay, this needs to be like this. There we go, okay? So this guy here, this black part should be over to the right, and on this side, the black part should be over to the left. If you do it the other way around, it's gonna look like your bunny's stoned. Okay, so don't do that, unless that's what you're going for. Anyway, let's get our glue on this part here. Throw a few little dots up on that little delicate part at the top there, because we do want that to stay put. There we go. Now he looks like he's been living a good, clean life, staying away from that caterpillar. There we go. Okay, and again, there are some little markers there to help you with the placement. Just tuck those right in between. There we go, beautiful. Perfect, and then we have these two little accent pieces. They're gonna go right in here like a little puzzle. Okay, so flip it around and throw a little dot of glue on there. You don't need a lot, just a few tiny little dots of glue. Okay, and then pop that right in. Just like that. We'll do the same thing with the other one. Now, in between takes here, I added some pearls here for buttons. I did a little rhinestone there. And of course, I still need to put one more little rhinestone on his hat, on the flower. And there's a couple more little tidbits that I do need to share before we call this one a wrap. And that involves the optional whiskers that you're gonna draw on him, should you want to do that. Not necessary, but definitely could look cool. Oh, and also, right down the center of the vest, I actually drew a line with a pencil. So what I did was I took a ruler and brought it over just slightly to the left of this little point here on his scarf, and then brought it down to this little area here where the vest joins. And I just took it and I just drew a little line in there to create the separation there. And as far as the whiskers go, what you can do is right about here, do a little setup like this. And I'm doing this on a scrap piece of paper because I want to practice as well. So kind of two little dots, one above the other or one below the other, and then one off to the side, almost like you're setting up 3 pins in bowling. Okay, and then just practice kind of doing a little whisker. It's just a really simple little stroke with your finger. You don't want to sit there and try to draw it like by hand. You can, I guess, but it'll look more natural if you just give it a quick little whoosh. Okay, so maybe practice a few times on your piece of paper before you actually commit to doing it. Okay, but as I mentioned, we'd probably start right around here, do one little dot there, go slightly below it there, and then give your front pin there, as I would call it in bowling, the front pin. And then I got the dots in there. I'm gonna do the dots here just to kind of keep it symmetrical. It could be a little bit off. It's not gonna, I've got the dots in place. Those are easy. And then what I would do again is just kind of practice a few times on a scrap piece of paper before you commit. And when you're ready, you can just go over here and just draw them in. Very simple. Now this one's going to be kind of a stroke to the other way, so maybe practice going the other way as well. We'll just go like that. And there's his little whiskers. Very simple. Do it with a pencil if you're not sure about it. That way you can erase it if you goof up. Okay, by the way, the hat, obviously, the hat is going to go right in here. You'll see that there are markers in various sections, one here, one below this pink part, one on the pink part. We're just going to use that to fit the hat right in there. It's kind of like a, you know, it's a little marker to help you make sure that we get this thing in the right spot. So I'm going to do just 2 of these. It's pretty light. Not a lot of weight to this, so I think 2 of them will hold it just fine. And then that way we won't see anything poking out of the sides either. So just get that lined up with the little markers, just like that. There it is. All right, so let's get started here with the assembly. I'm going to use purple brads for the arms. And so this is the left arm. And again, back to these guys here, you'll see that we do have that little mark there, and those are going to go towards the body. So this one is going to work with this guy here. All right, let's actually join these together first. I'm going to use purple, like that, and that's going to go behind him. Okay, so I need another purple brad here to get that joined in place. Oops, got to stick it through first, obviously. So let's, oh, there it goes like that. Okay, I'll flip that over, press those down. And is that right? Yeah. Okay, there we go. And then we've got this guy here. Also going to stick with the purple here. These are really cool brads. These have glitter on them already, actually. That's pretty nice. Some of those gold ones, they're not even perfect circles. I don't know where they're manufactured, but these are really cool. But again, I think those are made by a craft company, which makes sense. Okay, so we'll do another purple one there. Now, obviously, while I'm doing this, there's going to be a rhinestone on. We're going to do a rhinestone here, and then one on the, what's it called? On the hat and the flower up there. Okay, so let's get this guy in place. Pop that in there, flip it over, push that down. There we go. He's got his carrots. Lucky little fella. Okay, now these guys here, the legs, this part here, the little hairy parts there, where you can see these little, I don't even know what they're called, but those are gonna go on this side, okay? So we don't want them like this. We want these facing out. All right, and that one there, we're gonna do some purple on that as well. So let's pop that in, pop that through. The purple just nicely complements his coat. That's why we're sticking with that for now. We'll pop that in, flip it over, spread it out, and then all that's left is his cute little feet. Let's get those going. And the white part, the shadow is going to be on the bottom. Okay, so this one's going to go here, and this one's going to go here. For this, I'd recommend using a white brad. I'm going to actually just use this color here until I get a white brad. Okay, 1 second here. There we go. Yeah, so I'm gonna use a white brad on that eventually. But last piece going in, coming in hot. And let's go, come on. What's going on? There we go. Okay, so that's it. If you are planning on adding any rhinestones to your project, don't trust the adhesive that comes with it. I would absolutely throw a little dot of glue in whatever spot you're planning on putting your rhinestone, just so that it has that extra little bit of adhesive so it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, but I think that covers everything pretty much for this bunny. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. He turned out wonderful. Obviously, you can pose him however you want. And that's really it. So hopefully you guys make him a friend, because he's going to get awfully lonely with Mrs. Easter Bunny. So I'll see you at that video. But if you enjoyed this video, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button. As you can see, we're approaching 46,000 subscribers, so thank you to each and every one of you. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I would love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can just type in this little URL that you see here at the bottom of your screen. So anyway, happy Easter crafting, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos, and also please consider hitting that subscribe button. And don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section, where we have over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly videos. I look forward to crafting with you soon.